Hi everyone, so I just wanted to talk to you today about the worst type of reassurance possible. So this is something that most people do that is the most damaging, and this is self-reassurance. So it's one thing if you go online and you research the topic that scares you, or if you ask somebody, that's just like a one-time reassurance. So you got scared, you went and asked somebody, or you got scared and you went and looked online. Well, probably with online it's more than once. And but if you actually think about it all the time, it's like you're asking reassurance from yourself again and again and again and again. So if you think of your recovery as a race, I always do this. So think of your recovery as a race. So you got to get from point A to point B, okay? So every time you refuse reassurance is one step forward towards the end of the race, which is when you will fully recover, right? If you seek reassurance, that's a step backward. So if you seek reassurance, say from someone you know, and you ask them, is this thought real or is it important or something like that, that's a step backward, okay? Now, that's just one step. If after you ask them, you're not sure still about their answer and you start thinking about it and you spend a lot of time thinking about it, every time you think about it is another step backward. So the most damaging type of reassurance is the type that comes from your own self. So you need to be really always focused on where your thoughts are at any given moment. And this is kind of an art, you're going to learn to do this as much better as you go along. You just need to keep practicing it. Don't say it's too hard. Don't say you can't do it. Just try the best you can and you will get the hang of how to do it. So think of your thoughts, think of your attentions as a stream, okay? The thoughts are coming into your mind. You can't control that. There's so many reasons why your thoughts are coming in. But just because a thought came into your mind, it doesn't mean you have to examine it for hours and hours and days, right? It's just a thought. It came into your mind. Now your mind is looking to you to see how you'll react to this thought because you are in control. With OCD, we kind of lose that control and we think that, well, the thought came into my mind, it must mean something. No, it's just a bunch of different, signals firing, it's a physical process. Your soul is what chooses what to think about and what to not think about, what to find relevant, what to find irrelevant. And that's done through attention. So think of your attention as a stream. Your stream is focused on one particular thought. And the more you focus on it, the more monumental, the more huge it becomes, right? And the more you stop focus on it, the smaller it becomes. This works with OCD thoughts, and this works well with regular thoughts as well. So if you have stress in your life, the more you focus on that stress, the more the stress will seem. And you know that this happens a lot because you'll have a thought, whether OCD thought or a real thought, at night before going to bed. You start to work yourself up and get all, very worried about this particular thought. Then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, this wasn't even a big deal. Why was I so worried? Because of the attention. You do this to yourself when you kind of put the attention on it. And it's not just people with OCD. Regular people do that too. They're just doing it about kind of real problems rather than OCD problems. But the anxiety that grows still grows, right? So that's kind of the thing. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your attention stream is always on the target that you want it to be on. So not OCD. So you feel like I've started to think about OCD. And this can be automatic, like you're not realizing you're thinking about OCD. You're just thinking about it. So you pour your attention into the OCD thought and then you realize, oh no, I'm back into the analyzing again. I gotta move my stream of attention somewhere else. So you can imagine your mind and you can imagine a stream coming out of your mind and going towards OCD. And now you move that stream to somewhere else, okay? A good example of how to imagine it is if you think of like a firefighter putting out a fire and they're holding the hose and there's a lot of water coming out of the hose. So think of it as you're putting out the fire of OCD. You gotta take that hose, grab it with both hands, and move it over to something else. And imagine yourself moving your attention over to another subject. It doesn't so much matter what the subject is as long as it can captivate your attention. So Think of something that is also important to you but is not OCD, and keep your attention on that. Keep your hose on that. Keep it firing that way. And obviously, because your mind, it wants you to go back to your OCD thought, it's going to try to shift it back the first chance it gets. But that's okay. As soon as you realize you're thinking about OCD again move that attention stream. So every time, just keep moving towards the thought that you want to think about. With OCD is basically where your mind has taken control over the whole situation, over your whole situation. Your mind is now in control, and your mind is firing random signals and is acting as if it's real, sending you anxiety, sending you guilt, sending you all kinds of thoughts. It's just running wild. You have to take back the control that you lost. So it can go back and try to think about OCD again, but you move it to where you want to. Because OCD, a lot of it, I always say that it's about power. You have to have power over your mind. What happens with OCD is the mind has power over you right now. And you can take it back anytime you want. You don't have to believe what your mind is telling you. You are in control, The thoughts can come in and out. The thoughts mean nothing. They're just signals firing in the brain. And that's kind of the whole trick of OCD, that when you get a thought with a lot of anxiety, you think it's real, but it's only seemingly real. It's real because your mind thinks it's real, so it's sending you anxiety as if it's real, it's sending you guilt as if it's real, it's sending you fear as if it's real, but it's not real. And the only reason why your mind thinks that is because you've been training it to think that is real by agreeing with it. So your mind sends a thought to you, oh, is this real? And you're like, yeah, I think it is. Let me think about it for a year, So your mind says, okay, well, he's been thinking or she's been thinking about it for a year. Let's, send some more thoughts of the same nature, right? So the mind sends you some more thoughts of the same nature. You get even more scared by them, and then it starts to become a cycle. So you got to break the cycle now. And like I said, analyzing is the worst thing you can do. The worst type of reassurance, and the hardest one to get over, because all the other stuff are mostly physical actions. So you can physically stop yourself from going online and researching stuff. You can physically stop yourself from asking somebody. But it's very difficult to physically stop yourself from thinking the certain things, right? Or from allowing yourself to analyze certain things. And that's another point that I wanted to mention too, that there's a huge difference between analyzing the thought and a thought coming into your mind. A thought coming into your mind is an automatic process set by your brain, right now. So you can't really, that's not analyzing. Analyzing is picking that thought up and keeping going with it. Like I say in previous videos, think of the thought as a ball being thrown to you. You can't control if the ball is thrown to you or not, but you can control if you catch it or not. So that's where the analyzing starts, is the catching it. And then you catch it. And then you run with it. And you just keep on running with it. But what you need to do is the ball comes to you, it's being thrown at you, you let it fall to your feet. You don't catch the ball. You don't have to catch it. And then your mind is going to see that, okay, he's not catching the ball once, he's not catching the ball twice. I'm not going to throw the ball anymore. There's no point. And that's the basis of how you get over OCD. It's really as simple as that. And it doesn't matter what type of OCD you have, this is how you need to get over OCD. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.